So I decided to start my own school. Got together with my friends, Drs. Les Griffith and Bill Mitchell, and invited a good friend of mine, Sheila Quinn, to start a new school. I mentioned it to my receptionist, who mentioned it to her mother, and her mother said, what a great idea. And she sent me a check for $200. And with $200, I started what was then named the John Bastyr College of Naturopathic Medicine. Now, one of the ironies of that kind donation was that I'd always considered myself a failure with her because I was only able to clear up 75% of her rheumatoid arthritis. I couldn't get her enough improved that she didn't need the drugs anymore. Her perspective was, well, I've been suffering from the severe disease. I'm so much better. I can dramatically decrease my use of drugs, which means I'm not getting the side effects of the drugs. I think you're a great doctor. We need more like you. It's always interesting. The doctor says, well, I want to get it perfect. And the patient says, wow, I'm so much better. I'm so grateful. So with that $200 in 1978, we started the John Bastyr College of Naturopathic Medicine. Now, when I started Bastyr, I had a very clear vision of science-based natural medicine. My belief was that if this body of knowledge had validity, it should be subjectable to research, and it should be reproducible. We need to write modern textbooks. We need to do accredited education. We need to do it right. So when I started Bastyr, that's what I did. I first recruited PhDs to teach the basic sciences. So anatomy, physiology, pathology, biochemistry, it doesn't belong to any particular field. It's a body of knowledge. So I brought in PhDs to teach that to the students. Then for the diagnostic courses, I invited a lot of MDs in because MDs are very good at diagnosing disease. They're not very good at treating most diseases. I mean, MDs are great at treating acute disease and injuries, things like that. I mean, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Conventional medicine does a lot of wonderful things. But in terms of health promotion and reducing and removing the underlying cause of disease, it's not a very good model. The drug model is not very good for that. So anyway, so then I got the MDs doing diagnosis, and I got the naturopaths teaching how to cure people naturally, all the therapies, how you work with the body rather than try to take over the body. Or if you look at the effect of most drugs these days, all they do is turn off symptoms. They don't deal with the underlying cause of why people are sick. So I started Bastyr and I did it right. And by doing it right, Bastyr became the first accredited University of Natural Medicine anywhere in the world. Because this medicine had never been accredited by any government agency anywhere that I'm aware of, at least in the English-speaking world. And by doing that properly, we did good quality education, we engaged in good quality research, we started getting articles published. And then one of my dearest friends and a great graduate of Bastyr, Dr. Michael Murray, and I wrote the textbook of natural medicine. Starting Bastyr was very, very hard. Remember, this is way back in the late 70s, and natural medicine was not well received. Again, only 6 states licensed us, and we're a felony in 2 states. So it was really hard. So when I started the school, of course, the first thing I did is I went to the foundations to ask them for donations to get the school started. Well, any foundation that would give money to anything around healthcare would, of course, have an MD on their committee making that decision. And so, of course, I won't be so hard as to say they laughed at us, but basically that's what happened. They said, no, and why even bother to waste our time? So it was pretty clear that the only way to start the school was from an entrepreneurial perspective. Nonetheless, I decided to give it a try. So I was able to attract people who believe in what we were doing and were willing to work for below standard wages because they believe in what we were doing. Got the school started, and I early realized we had to become accredited because until our education was accredited, no one would take us seriously. So I went to the accrediting agency, the local accrediting agency, and they basically said, no, we don't accredit schools of your nature. And being a little naive at that time, I just accepted their statement. Well, another school started a year after us down in Oregon, and they hired an attorney to look into the criteria for accreditation and realized that actually, according to their own laws and bylaws, we were eligible for accreditation. So they applied for accreditation. Now, as it turns out, that school, from my perspective and their perspective, did not have very high educational standards. And so they went through the accreditation process and were not approved. But when I saw that they had done it, I thought to myself, well, we should do it as well, because we had been doing it very, very well. As I said, using conventional textbooks, using conventionally trained PhDs and MDs as part of the educational system, we looked really good. So we applied for accreditation, and indeed, we went through the process, and it was challenging, lots of political challenges, but we went through the process and became the first accredited University of Natural Medicine ever anywhere in the world. But again, it was hard because there was no money. But once we got accreditation, once we started getting student loans, and with the accreditation, we're now eligible for research grants from the federal government. We started now bringing some resources so we could grow the school, not just in terms of size, which of course was important, but in terms of the quality education we could offer. We could bring in more people, we can bring in more textbooks, we can do research, we can get better facilities, better laboratories, and we're able to take off.